Hey guys, welcome to Poised in Progress. I am your host, Aria. Welcome back to this week's podcast. Today's episode, like you guys seen on the title, is Getting Back on the Saddle. You guys know how we do here. Actually, y'all don't know how we do here because this is only my second podcast uploading, but I like to do no cuts. I'm trying to work on staying on track with talking and also just being more clear while I practice to become like a public speaker one day. So if it sounds a little choppy, that is why. We will be improving. That is pretty much the point of this podcast, is for us to literally be improving together. So there's that. So, like I mentioned, today's episode is about getting back on the saddle. And this is really for my ones where you have been putting up a good fight. Like, you have been through the storm. You have made it to the other side. And life literally feels like it's winning. And I get you, because life may or may not be winning for me right now. Okay? So today I just really wanted to talk about that to help everyone get back on the saddle, and also a reiteration for myself, like, hey, we need to get back on the saddle because we have goals to achieve by the end of 2026. So anyway, so today it was kind of a gloomy day. I'm not gonna lie. It's actually been gloomy all week. It's been raining off and on, and I don't know, gloomy and rainy days are rarely productive for me. On top of that, Ampflo has paid me a visit this week, so it's been a double whammy for your girl. But something that remains true is that the sun will come back out again. I was actually watching Chicago PD. I just started watching that show, and I remember the main guy, the sergeant, I don't even remember his name. I'm really bad at remembering names, guys. He was like, the sun's going to come back out tomorrow. And I don't know why me watching that video literally made me think of that for this podcast, but it's kind of what inspired me to write this and to produce this for you guys. So when you actually think about it, though, we have very bad natural disasters. Like, I'm from Oklahoma, where the wind really does come sweeping down the plain. We literally have a tornado season. Other places have a hurricane season, which seems way more scary to me because I am fearful of big bodies of water, but yet the Lord always brings a brighter day. And it's always better than what we've experienced in the past. So I say this because we do what we go through things all the time, and we get knocked down, and we sometimes just don't really know how to get back on the saddle and to experience those brighter days, because the answer isn't really black and white. To the outside world, honestly, I make myself look like I look put together. And I've actually been told this quite often, that the way I present myself online makes me seem like I'm just so put together. I'm just so hard driven, disciplined, all the good stuff, which honestly blows my mind because I don't try to be whatsoever. I just learned how to edit good over the years, and I'm chronically online, unfortunately, so it's easy for me to see what seems to look put together on screen. But in reality, I've been fighting a battle like everyone else. I have definitely been fighting the battle of feeling like I'm running out of time. Like, I turned 25 in January, and it's like part of me is feeling like I have time, and other part is like, girl, do you know you only got 30 minutes? 30 minutes. So I feel like I'm confused on which direction I'm supposed to go in. And honestly, I've been feeling the least confidence I have ever felt, which is so surprising. Because, see, in my eyes, once I turned 14, I haven't really lacked confidence, only really discipline. So this is weird for me not to feel 100%. Honestly, what made me feel really confident back then, if I try to think about it to help myself, I really realized who I was. Like, you know how people say, like, oh, like, you just have to understand that you were really that girl. I ain't gonna lie, I've been feeling that since I was 14. Like, it wasn't very, like, in people's face. Like, I wouldn't say I was cocky. I've never got, like, cocky allegations either from other people, but to me, I've always just had that confidence that I was always going to low-key get back on the saddle. Like, I always knew I was going to get better every single year. And this is the first time that I've kind of not felt that much. So, and I'll get into a deeper explanation of that in another episode, but I want to express where I am now and how I can physically see it's time to get back on the horse. It's time to push through the doubt, uncertainty, lack of confidence, lack of discipline, worry, anxiety, and etc. And if you clicked on this podcast, you are also in the same boat. But lucky for you, I always have a game plan. That's literally why I'm doing the episode, because I have a game plan. And I want to share with you some ways to get back on the saddle when there's just nothing pushing you but you. You and God. Okay, you and God. So the first thing is to recognize what season you are in. Everyone who was a child has experienced a rough patch of transitioning from being a child to being an adult. There's really no playbook to be an adult, and you realize maybe you were supposed to be trying for that house instead of playing with Hot Wheels, y'all. Being an adult is hard because now you need to recognize things, such as when to buy a car. Is that degree going to help you later on in your 20s? Should you put $20 or $50 in a Roth IRA? What even is a Roth IRA? But if you haven't, I'm not going to lie, y'all. If y'all haven't done a Roth IRA, high yield savings, I'm going to tell you right now, you need to go ahead and get up on that. That's not even a decision that you got to make. You're going to have to do that. And also stuff like, when's the best time to get married? Or do you even want kids? Because I'm not going to lie to y'all. Being married and having kids looks not too appetizing right now. I think it's just because of what side of TikTok I'm on, but it just doesn't look very appetizing. But at the same time, part of me is just like, am I supposed to be having kids? Like, am I supposed to be working towards marriage, finding my man, finding my love of my life? Or am I supposed to just be boss woman? Like, I don't really know. I don't know. So you have all these decisions that you have to recognize and you got to realize what part of life are you in. So, I would just say for myself, like, that's something I've always kind of been able to recognize now. And the last couple months may have been blurred, but it's starting to become clear to me, recognizing what season I'm in. And here are some ways that I help myself recognize what those are. So the first thing is I write down a typical day in my life. Now, if you already journal, you don't really need to do a day in life. What you really need to do is literally go back in your journal from the last month and see what sticks out to you. See what about your life seems the same, seems stagnant, seems like this is something that you can say, like, this happens to you on a daily basis. So you can really see, like, okay, this is where it actually is, like, for my day, like, for my life, like, for right now in this season. This is actually what's happening because I'm writing down the events. But if you're not a journaler, I would highly suggest that you write down what your day in the life is. Because when you do that, you can now start to see what is actually happening. What is your reality? Like, for example, in this season for me, this is a season of execution. 100%. I did the hard work. I, found my passion, found what I wanted to do, and I worked towards it. I got the schooling for it. Now, am I done with the schooling? No. But am I actively working in and can level up within where I'm at? 100%. So this time is like really an execution time. And the only reason why I was able to see that is because I have physical report on what my life is. And throughout this podcast, I will be emphasizing journaling a lot because I have so many journals dating back to me being 7 years old. And I truly believe that's why I really didn't lack confidence through those years that most people do lack confidence, because I could literally read how I was leveling up every single year. So journaling is a non-negotiable for me, and it should be a non-negotiable for you. The next thing to recognize what season you in what are your friends doing? What are your friends doing? So, are they in school like you are? Are they working like you? Are they dating? Or are they running 5Ks? Are they buying houses? Like, what are your friends doing? Because the old saying is so true. Like, you are who you hang around. So, see, if you cannot get it from you writing it down, seeing what season you're in, look who you're hanging around. Because most of the time, either you are right at the same level as those people, or you're just smidge right above. Like, it's really no difference. That will show you. Like, if your friends are really not on nothing, they partying every weekend, and you going to the parties, you going with them, honey, that's where you're at as well. If your friends are graduating and everything, you may not be graduating yet, but you know this is the push, like, okay, this might be my time to go back to school. Like, the people who you hang around is so important, okay? For me, I have friends that are all doing stuff. And when I say my friends have things to lose, they have things to lose. Like, they've gotten their degrees, they are working in very good jobs, you know? So when I look at myself, I see, like, okay, I'm in that realm too, because sometimes we beat ourselves up so much that we don't even recognize that we are in a blessing that we used to pray for. So sometimes looking at people who are closer around us and we can pinpoint what we're doing alike, we can now recognize if we are in that blessing that we have been praying for this whole entire time. The third way is, what are you thinking about when you're not scrolling, working, socializing, trying to distract yourself from reality? What is going on? Because our minds will weigh on the things that are important to us at that time. So I was watching a video on TikTok that actually made me immediately delete the whole entire app. And she was saying how, like, she took a break from TikTok for like 3 weeks. And when she came back, she was like, man, I was just consuming so many other people's lives just scrolling on TikTok. Now, I'm not going to be a TikTok hater. I love TikTok. I'm going to make a TikTok page for this as well. Like, TikTok is a great, useful tool when you are using it correctly. When you are not using it correctly, you are not seeing the realities of your life. So if you cannot pinpoint where you're at right now, more than likely it's because you're distracting yourself with other things to where you cannot focus on what you need to do and how you feel. Like, social media it's really them dang phones. Like, they were not playing. It's really them dang phones. It's really social media for real, because why is it that, like, I'm scrolling for hours and hours and hours, but when it's time for me to, like, work on things for my business or work on things for myself, like, I only can give myself barely 10 minutes. And then I wonder, why am I so, like, down? Like, why do I feel like it's so hard for me to get on track? Because I'm too busy investing in seeing other people do what they are supposed to be doing. Like, if you're listening to a podcast, you shouldn't just be listening to me and not doing some type of other work, whether that's like cleaning your room or like writing out something or whatever. Like, you should be hearing what I'm saying, but also actively doing something for yourself as well. And when we're distracting ourselves, even if it's not with social media, we're just distracting ourselves with friends. I mentioned this in the first podcast as well, about how, like, people make themselves so accessible to other people, and I've never been that way, so it's always been confusing to me. Like, stop making yourself so accessible. It's not bad for you to have a boundary of when to talk to people, when to text people, when to be on for someone. It's not a bad thing. And I wish more people, especially us women, because I feel like us women do it more, like for our husbands, boyfriends, friends, family, kids, everything. Like, stop being so accessible to people. That's not what you're supposed to be doing 24/7. Now, yes, you're supposed to be there for people. Like, you could do that. And as somebody who is there for people, but I put a hard line as far as when it's time for me to be for myself. Because God is continuously always trying to show me things. But if I'm too busy wrapped up into what so-and-so is doing, I cannot focus on what he's trying to tell me. So those are 3 ways to recognize what season you're in. Because once you can pinpoint where you're at, you can now do steps to get to where you're at, where you need to be. Where you need to be. I listen to so many motivational videos, read the books and stuff, and all of them start out with the recognition. Every single one of them starts out with recognizing what's happening. So that is such a big and important step for you to get back on the saddle. Get back to where you need to be. Get back to where you are continuously clocking out of every day and feeling alive. You need to recognize where you are at so that you know what to add, what to let go. Because if you just start plain and simple and you just skip the first part of what I just said and go into my other steps, you're just going to be confused. You're going to be running in circles and circles and circles because you don't even know where to start. So recognize where you're at, take these tips, and literally write them down for yourself. Number 2, as far as how to get back on the saddle, write a list of things you are avoiding. Now, I'm going to be real with y'all. This might take y'all a while to do because you're literally avoiding it. Like, you're already avoiding this thing, so now you're actively trying to recall it to put it down on a list. But the list is for you to understand what now needs to be checked off. So I'll let y'all know some of my stuff that I've been avoiding lately, like getting documents sent to my school, looking for a freaking car, y'all. Like, I look at the cars, but then I'm like, I'll go back, buying retail for my business. I actually, when I was writing this, I said, okay, let me check off one thing. I did actually finally buy some retail for my business. For some reason, I've just been like taking my time on that, and there's just like, I'm literally leaving money out because I just don't want to think about what to get for my business. Like, it's so weird. And creating my lash course, like, I'm ready to start teaching. Everybody keeps asking me to teach. Other people that I've like helped teach, they're like, you're doing a good job at teaching, and I've just been procrastinating on it, so I had to write it down. And it's crazy how we feel like avoidance is a lot easier than doing what you need to do. Because something I noticed, I actually heard it in a video. I need to start writing out all the videos that I listen to so that I can reference this for y'all to go look at it. But I heard it in a video, and it was saying how like we avoid things so much, but the actual task itself takes less time than the time we spent avoiding it. And when they said that, it should have clicked even harder, but it did click somewhat. Like, I'm gonna be real with y'all. Like, avoiding things is so much harder than actually executing on them and doing them. Because so many times I tell myself no, I tell myself, oh, it's gonna work out this way. I try to be in control the whole time. And I'm thinking I'm doing the best for me, but actually I'm hurting myself because I'm not just getting it out. Like, with the world, with life, especially if you're moving on to like really big things, like, you are going to have so many things pop up that you need to do. Like, you got to clear out your brain. You got to clear it out. So the things that we're avoiding and we think it's not such a big deal, it's actually like stealing so much time from us, because the anxiety of not doing them literally makes you not do anything. Like, you can't be productive at anything because it's like a domino effect. It's like, okay, if I don't do this, then I can't do that, then I can't do this, and and then you just end up missing like literally 6 hours of the day because you just want to do that first step. Like, I was noticing it. Like, I told you guys in my first video about how, like, what happened to my car or whatever, and I'm not gonna lie, the type of downness I was feeling, I was procrastinating on doing so much stuff. And what it did was, it's like, I could have kept at the discipline that I was at that time, And I will give myself grace for just that time being. But at the same time, like, because I kept avoiding doing certain things, I'm now having to get back up and restart over instead of just taking a couple days and hopping back into it. Because it would have been easier if I would have hopped back into it after those couple days that I took to, get my bearings together or whatever. Instead, I waited a whole month and now I got to build that all the way back up. So avoidance does nothing but tear us down. So write down a list of things that you are avoiding and create a game plan, which brings me into my third and final point on how to get back on the saddle, which is how will you execute to get back on the saddle? I can tell you 50 million things on how to get your life together. But if you don't execute any of it, nothing is going to work. Something I wanted to share with you guys is that the longer that you dream and don't execute, the longer you stay in slumber. There is no reason that you are not executing on the things that you're hearing, things that you are wanting for your life, because thinking about it does nothing. Doing something about it creates results. Okay? Like this, besides the first step, this would have to be the second most important thing, because once you're in the storm, right? Once you're in the storm, it's like you kind of like get to a flow state, but it's really the after the storm that gets you the most, right? And I want to say this because I feel like everybody's like, oh my gosh, like, if you just wake up at 5 a.m., if you eat right, if you go to the gym, your life will be better. Now, it will do results. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't clock into the gym tomorrow. I'm saying that it is deeper than that. It's deeper than doing that Sunday reset. It's deeper than you just choosing this salad instead of a burger. It's deeper than that when it comes to execution. Execution on your executing, y'all. Anyways, I'm not starting over. Execution is very important for you to see yourself succeed, see your progress, see where you are at. And although it's hard to fight through, because once you've been like through the storm and you are like down bad, it's hard to see what a good day looks like. It's hard to see when the sun comes back up because it's been so dark for so long. Like we're about to get out of daylight savings. So, we're going to have like the sun is going to set a lot later. We're going to have more sunlight, right? And it's so weird how like the wintertime feels. Like it's like the days are shorter, they're colder, they're just more eerie. Like that's what the winter is like. And it's like when you get like, I guess, the winter depression, it's hard to see the sun. It's hard to know like, oh shoot, like I'm about to be up. I'm about to be outside with my friends. Like I'm about to be going to brunch, drinking until 12, whatever. Like we forget when we're in the storm how bright it can get. And the only way we can really see that part is by putting in the work to what we are doing. Okay, like putting into the work. So, referencing back to my first episode, I mentioned how I need you guys to write down what can you do when you only have that 1% to move the pole forward. So, if you did that, thank you. I appreciate you doing the homework. What are those things? And have you been doing those things? Because those might seem very little, very much like they're not big, but they're so big. They are what's going to make you be where you want to be at the end of the year. It's not when you finally get that brand deal, or it's not when you finally get that degree. It's not when you finally get that car or that house. It's what you do in between, because you couldn't have gotten there without doing that in between, without doing that 1%, whenever life just kept throwing stuff at you and you just had to pivot. You just had to work through it. You just had to get better. Like, you had to keep practicing. You had to just keep going. That's what got you to the finish line. So when it comes to finishing and getting back on the saddle, what are you going to do when you have no motivation? But the realistic part of motivation is not enough. Discipline is what is enough. Showing up is what is enough. Like, I really wanted to start this podcast because I really wanted to express how much showing up really does help. Like, the goal of this podcast, honestly, I'm really not into the whole influencing thing anymore, like being a big time influencer like that. It's really because I feel like I think so deeply into these things, and I really want to share that with other people who are like-minded like me, to understand how much it is to show up on your bad days. Show up when there's no motivation. Show up when there's no one cheering you on. No one is hyping your head up. Or people are doing that and you still feel like you have no motivation. Because I know what both of those feelings feel like. It feels like it's only you in the way. And you will get back up. You know, like, you will get back up, but it's the matter of when. Because it really doesn't matter how long it will take you to get there. It's just like, as long as you get there, but you need to choose when you're going to get there. Especially when you have been doing the work. My brother told me this years ago, and it has stuck with me every day since. All work works. And you guys know what? I didn't really understand what that meant until about a year ago. Right? So I'll say it again, because I know I'm getting a lot of new viewers for the next multiple lot of episodes I will be doing. But I am a lash artist and a full esthetician. I'm a lash and brow artist. And me seeing, like, this time last year, I wasn't even making half of what I'm making this year. I was not seeing as many clients as I see this year. I wasn't as confident in my work as I am this year. I was posting consistently back then, and I wasn't getting any bookings. Like, I felt like everything was trash. Like, my content was trash. My lashes, like, they weren't ugly, but, like, you know, whenever you are a perfectionist or you're a person who just does a service, like, you know, you're never, like, fully satisfied. You know, my clients were, but I wasn't fully satisfied because I wanted my work to be somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And to know that my work is a lot farther than what it was last year, that shows me that all work works. Me taking those free models, me practicing on my craft, me, like, taking a step out and trying out different products, spending money, investing, and everything like that, that has now paid off. Because now I don't really have to worry. Like, this is slow season for me. I'm not gonna lie, this is slow season. I'm not saying, like, my books are just like bang, 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 or nothing. But I'm saying it's 10 times better than the year before, because I put in the work the year before. So now I'm really seeing the fruits of my labor now. So that is why I mentioned why we need to see what is that 1%. What is that you can see that you can do whenever you are still at your lowest, because we need to see progress. We need to see you being better in the next year, you're not going to see a lot of progress right now. Okay? I wish somebody would grab me by the throat when I was younger and tell me, like, you are not going to see progress right now. I think seeing so many success stories is not always the best. And that's why I wanted to also make this podcast to really to really say, like, okay, y'all are not seeing me at my peak yet. Y'all are not seeing me at my peak. And I really wanted to grow with everyone during this time because it is so slow. Success is really slow. We always hear about overnight success until you hear the story. And you see, that was never an overnight success. That was pure work for years. Pure talent. Pure taking a step out on faith. That's what we see. But it looks like it's overnight to us. Nothing is overnight. Because it needs to be perfected, it needs to be practiced on, it needs to be cared for, it needs to be what it needs to be for it to blow up. So that's what I want you guys to get out of today. That getting back up on the saddle doesn't mean your life is going to be perfect when you're done. Does not mean at all. What it means is that you are now on the track to see the results that you were wanting when you were all excited and all motivated at the beginning of the year. That's what that means. So, of course, I'm going to leave you guys with homework. Before we end this episode, I want you guys to write down, what have you been avoiding? And once you write down, I want you to take it a step further, okay? A step further. What are you going to do? What are the actions to get this up and out of your mind? I'm going to do it too. I'm going to do it with y'all, okay? And I'm going to come back next week. I'm going to let y'all know what I did, okay? And I hope that you guys will comment and tell me what you guys did as well. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Well, it's not a video. Podcast about getting back up on the saddle. I hope that this helped give you encouragement. I hope this made you feel like you had more clarity on what to do next. And I really pray that you will have a great week. Okay? Like, there will be sun again. There will be a sunny day again. It will be a better day again. It's just a little rainy right now. But I hope you guys have a good week again. And thank you guys for tuning in to Poised in Progress. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye.